Today we'll be shooting with an almost 70-year-old camera, a Leica 3F. The 3F we'll be shooting with is called a black dial, believed to be built in 1951. Even though the Leica 3F is loaded with dials and levers, the camera is relatively small, solid, and fairly easy to use. My friend John Ellis restored this camera and was kind enough to lend it to me for this video. I'm reluctant to say restored since John said that all he did was give the camera a good CLA, which stands for cleaning, lubrication, and adjustment. This camera is rock solid. Why? It's a Leica. As I said, there's a lot of dials, buttons, and levers on the 3F. Think about driving a car from the 1950s with a stick shift, a manual choke, no air conditioning, no power steering, and so on. The Leica 3F is that way. Here are the basic Leica 3F controls. The winding knob winds the film to the next frame. You manually set the exposure counter to 0 after you've loaded the film and advanced it for at least 2 frames. You have to do this yourself since everything on this camera is manual. You flip the reversing lever to unlock the rewinding knob to rewind the film. This dial is used for slow shutter speeds. You set the fast dial to 30 to enable this dial. The fast shutter speed dial ranges from bulb to 1/1000. The shutter release triggers the smooth shutter. Everything in this camera is smooth. This is a window for the viewfinder where you compose your shots. There are 2 finders you look through on the back of the 3F. There's a viewfinder where you compose your shot and a rangefinder where you focus on your subject. The rangefinder provides a magnified view and the focusing lever on the lens is used to focus. The focusing lever is used to focus. As you would expect, it's very smooth and accurate. The rewind knob is used to rewind the film. You push the reverse lever forward, then wind the film back into its cassette. The lens on this camera is collapsible and removable. It's Elite's Elmar 50mm f3.5 lens, which is sharp and clear. Now we'll load the 3F with film. Lift up the locking handle and turn it counterclockwise to release the bottom cover. There's a diagram printed on the inside bottom of the camera showing how to insert the film. Loading the 3F with film can be difficult and it takes some practice. First, there's a take-up spool which you need to remove. Be careful not to lose this. You need to cut the film to make it look like the graphic on the inside of the camera, so cut the film with scissors. Feed the film leader onto the take-up spool. When you're ready to insert the film into the camera, make sure you have only 2 sprockets exposed from the cassette. Make sure the take-up spool and film cassette are seated all the way in the camera. You can tell this by feel. Put the back cover on and lock the cover into place. Now you're ready to wind the film. Wind the film using the Film Advance Winder. This is a really critical part. Make sure the film rewind knob rotates when you wind the film. If it doesn't, the film is not seated correctly and you have to pull it out and try again. Pull out the lens and rotate it clockwise until it stops. You can feel it gently click into place. You set the shutter speed by rotating the fast shutter dial. The aperture is set on the front of the lens, which is a little inconvenient. It is very smooth though, as you can see. I shot with Ilford FP4 at ISO 125. This was a very sunny and bright day, so I figured an ISO of 125 would be pretty good. I shot these in my backyard since I had no idea how these shots would come out for my first roll shot with the 3F. I was pleasantly surprised. The images are crisp and clear and the contrast is good. To meter for exposure, I just used an old Sekonic L158. I varied the shutter speed from 1/200 to 1/500 and the f-stops from 3.5 to f16. I developed the negatives in iiif 3 for 4.5 minutes. So, what are my thoughts on the Leica 3F? First of all, it's a Leica, which means the build quality is unparalleled. This camera is coming up 70 years old and still works smoothly. That says a lot. It's a lot of work to use this camera, and don't expect it to act like even a 35mm SLR. Using this camera is slow and deliberate. But if you want to be part of the Leica experience, the 3F is the best place to start.